Esther McVeigh, MP, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
I'm all right, love. Every morning I come here and I think, oh, it's going to be boring. And yet this Labour government, if I'm absolutely honest, just keeps giving me daily the chance to just talk non-stop. I mean, I'm going to have to start with the serious story and then we'll launch into the madness. And you would know, you were an employment minister. We worked together several years ago when you were specialising on disabled people as well. 1 million more on benefits, Esther, with no need to seek work, meaning that we now have 4 million people claiming benefits. And you might have heard in my introduction, it's an emotive subject because genuine claimants will say, I am disabled, I am mentally ill. I'm really worried that any new government or any government that talks about lowering this welfare benefits budget is going to attack me. My argument is, no, it's not about the genuine people. It's the people who are gaming it. It's the foreign people, illegals coming into this country. But I've always been happy to be part of something that helps people who can't help themselves. But we've got to a point where it's a drain, and in the budget, the tax will go up for everyday people to pay for something that isn't working. Isn't that fair?
I mean, the situation's far worse than you say. It's 4 million people on the main out-of-work benefits that don't need to look for work. It's double the number who are on the main out-of-work benefits. This is just a number of people who are saying they're so disabled in one way or another, or there's other things happening that they cannot look for work. So you're right, the numbers are unacceptable, and you have to start off with the others who can start going into work. What is wrong with them going to work? And what you need to understand, there needs to be a 360-degree sort of package put together. So some people might need support, some people might need extra training, some people might need extra qualifications. But at the same time, there is something that I'd call conditionality for getting a benefit. So if you're getting that benefit, what are you doing for it? So I'd say you're in a job to get a job. So every day you must be looking for work. You must be sending off your CV. So that's the conditionality. And then with that, there is oversight. This is what people in the job centre do. Are you looking for work? Can we help you? Can we point you in the right direction? And then ultimately, there is sanctions if you are not doing anything. And the whole system has to fit together like that. You can't just have money going out and no conditionality. And then you have to see how ill are you? How much, what are the things that are stopping you from going to work? And is it right now? Is that going to be forever? Or is it for a period of time that you might need extra support because a lot has gone wrong in your life? We get that. But ultimately, if you can work, you should work because it is good for you. It's good for your self-esteem. You're going to get money and you're going to have friendships. There's a whole lot of things that are good for you in work. So I think, and that's why it's a complicated system. There's a hell of a lot of people working there, 100,000 people. Some of them are brilliant. My team was brilliant, and all the people in the job centres. And they, one by one, have a tailored approach. What do you need? But the Labour government, I'm afraid, has collapsed all that. And I'm afraid it's just handing out, I would say, working people's money without doing those checks.
There doesn't seem to be any diligence, and of course you're so right, it becomes, and you saw it, you were a Minister of State for Employment, and I'm sure there were issues and arguments and conversations that you had to have with people who would look at you as if you were trying to destroy a whole series of people's lives. I said it early doors, and I guess you're the same. I'm really happy to go to work to pay tax for a system that I, growing up, was told was to help people who can't help themselves, Esther, and I'm really happy to do that. What I'm not happy to do is see, as you said, working people's taxes increased again in the next 2 weeks to pay. I mean, yesterday we had Rachel Reeves saying that she wants to cut that child cap benefit of 2 kids. £27 for the first kid, 17 for the second. Listen, everybody knows what I used to do. Everybody knows what the job that you used to have. But here's the truth. If you're saying, I mean, I heard her say, we're going to allow children to be born into poverty. There has to be some responsibility from parents, right? If you're going to have more than 2 kids, you need to be able to bloody well afford them. If you are genuinely mentally ill or disabled, yes, we will pay for you. But if you are making a choice not to work, it was never a career choice for us, but it's not a safety net anymore. It's a choice, and that is fundamentally wrong and goes against all the other people who are working hard. Surely that is common sense.
So this is a major mistake. by Rachel Reeves to remove the 2-child benefit cap. Can I just explain? Child benefit goes to every child, irrespective of the number. So that 20 quid, 17 quid you were talking about, that goes to every child. What this is changing is the basically tax credits, which Gordon Brown brought in 2003. You didn't have them before, and he brought in these child tax credits, and that comes into universal credit. So we're saying we're not going to give you that extra benefit after 2 children. And I will also say there is lots of exemptions to that. Should a child be disabled, you'd still get it for the 3rd child. Should you have had twins or triplets, you'll get that. Should there be a whole host of other reasons, you still get that. But what we're saying is, no, like anybody else who works out the finances of their life, the average number of children, you know, or is about 1.54 or something now per household, but most people have 2 children. So why should somebody on benefits be getting more support than people who are going out to work? And I'll tell you another thing as well. The more help you get with your children there, the further you're going to also get away from the workplace. So you will be getting more and more help. And it's not just on the benefits, it will be on housing benefit support, it will be on prescription support, you name it, on all kinds of support. And then I'd say the odds of you ever getting a job that could pay for you is going to be highly unlikely. So there were lots of reasons about fairness and about you, and we all say that the best thing you could do for your children really is to have a role model in the house who's going out to work, who is striving and who is successful. So there's a whole host of reasons why what Rachel Reeves is doing is a disaster. Plus, she doesn't have the money. She has bust the country. We're now borrowing 190 billion a year. So let's have a bright idea, Rachel Reeves. Let's tax people who are in work, which is fewer and fewer, and let's borrow more. Absolutely. She's gone bonkers. It is mad. It is the road to lunacy.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. You put it so well. Right, listen, I've been waiting all week to have your take on this. The BBC. I think, listen, overnight, the Donald has reiterated to Fox News that he is indeed going to sue the BBC for $1 billion. Have a watch, everybody. Here we go.
Are you going ahead and suing the BBC?
Well, I guess I have to. You know, why not? Because they defrauded the public, and they've admitted it. And their top echelon,
Director General and the CEO,
this
both
is
resigned.
Within one of our great allies. You know, this is supposedly our great ally, BBC. The government has a chunk of that one, I guess. But that's a pretty sad event. They actually changed my January 6th speech, which was a beautiful speech, which was a very calming speech, and they made it sound radical. And they actually changed it. What they did was rather incredible. They're showing me the results later on, the results of what they did, how they butchered it up. But it was very dishonest, and the head man quit, and a lot of the other people.
It was a very beautiful speech. It was a very calming speech. I just want to say this, Est. I get that, and whether he does that or not is fine. What I think is extraordinarily hypocritical, led by Lisa Nandy today, saying they are the light on the hill. Deborah Turner, all the Nick Robinsons jumping out. You're a broadcaster going, we're unbiased, we're this, we're that. We're under siege here from the far right. The fact is, we can sit here and talk, you and I, we were both in telly, about Savile, Harris, Hugh Edwards still being paid 200 grand a year as his pension. We can talk about Martin Croxall, a great journalist, daring to say pregnant woman instead of pregnant people. We can talk about an institution that paid a Hamas official's son to voice a documentary, or a Director General that allowed 5 hours of streaming of that vile Bob Villan saying deaf to the IDF. The BBC, in my humble opinion, is so far up its own backside, it's never ever had to be answerable to anybody. Yes, the charter's happening in 2 years, but surely it is time to put them on a level playing field with news organisations and television opportunities across this country, because if you're any good, people will subscribe. I think they get, 5.39 billion quid? It's time to change, isn't it?
The worst thing was that the BBC went into denial. And then they talked about they were the beacon. It was a far-right conspiracy, blaming the far-right. You couldn't believe that. They've made serious mistakes. Yeah. It has been systematically biased, and they had this report 6 months ago, and they weren't going to do anything. You know why? Because they think they're above the law. They are superior. They hold the sort of the moral righteousness of the country. So I think when Donald Trump heard that they were doubling down, they weren't apologising. It was like, come out and fight for the BBC. Who could make it up? He said, well, if that's the way you're going to play it, because we all know how Donald Trump works, I'm doubling down too. Now, I don't think for a moment he wants £1 billion. I think he wants them to acknowledge the mistakes. He wants an apology, and we as a country should be calling for root and branch change of the BBC. It's not good enough just 2 people have gone, because it is absolutely, it's entrenched in the organisation. And I can quite happily say, I know they are biased. If you ever see the audiences somebody's been on, whether it's Question Times, whether it's somebody's been on any questions, it is biased. I've seen them roll their eyes to me when I've talked about I didn't believe in the net zero targets. They roll their eyes. They could not hide the contempt of my views. And equally, when I didn't agree with lockdown, it was like I was some sort of criminal, not somebody who had a valid point of view, because they don't want to hear it. And that is their problem. If they had have listened, they had have been open-minded, you know what? You know, it would be in a better place. But the reason people are switching off the BBC in their droves and turning to whether it's Talk, you know, or other channels, is because they only want to hear their point of view.
Absolutely.
They're closing down any other point of view. So the Trump actually, hopefully, is going to make them shake up the attitude, and it shouldn't be a license fee anymore. It should be subscription. I think that's right. And if it's doing such a wonderful job, if it's such great value for money, people will subscribe.
And not only do I absolutely concur with all of that, we're talking about what is supposed to be our state broadcaster. Let's get this absolutely straight. A state broadcaster, you know what you're getting from Talk, you know what you're getting from The Guardian, you know what you're getting from The Mail and The Sun and The Telegraph and other news stations, but the BBC is supposed to be completely impartial. There is absolutely no doubt, right, no doubt that their coverage of so much is not unbiased. And that, as you said, institutionally, interesting times. This will make Estimate Bay smile more than anything. This morning, Keir Starmer, in panic mode, bunkered down in number 10, apparently machine gun firing his own cabinet ministers now, fearing some sort of feral overthrow, which is extraordinary in itself after 18 months. We've just got a clip from Wes Streeting, the ex-darling of the Labour Party, I would say, responding on Sky News because he wouldn't come on Talk. Wes, I'm disappointed, man, we're friends. To plot, he's responding to this plot to remove Starmer, the claims. This is Wes Streeting earlier. Have a watch.
I think whoever's been briefing this has been watching too much Celebrity Traitors, and this is just about the worst attack on a faithful I've seen since Joe Marler was kicked out and banished in the final. It's totally self-defeating briefing, not least because it's not true. And I don't understand how anyone thinks it's helpful to the Prime Minister either to suggest he's fighting for his job.
Esther, you were a minister, you were in the cabinet. I look at that and go, you're just deflecting that, mate. It's patently going on right underneath your nose. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, absolutely. And everybody knows he's been touting for the leadership for a long period of time. This isn't something new. This is what he's been doing. And if you look at his register of members' interests, you'll see he's got a couple of £100,000 in there, which has come forward. Well, there's no general election. There's no other reason he'd need the money. That is for a leadership bid when it's the right time. Now, he might not be going for it at the budget, but he'll be definitely going for it after the local elections. The thing which I don't understand is why Keir Starmer would actually preempt this story. Why would you say I am that weak? There is this many people in my own cabinet wanting me out. So either, and I do think they are strategically stupid, because this is a strategically stupid move, because he has absolutely set off the starting gun now for a leadership bid, and he's done it to himself. And like I said, it's been going on for some time. Or his position is so bad, and I know it is, and I can tell you, on the right of the Labour Party, you've got Shabina Mahmood is going, as is Wes Streeting, and on the left of the party, you have got Angela Rayner going, and believe it or not, Ed Miliband. So he is under pressure.
Ed Miliband's going to stand.
Trust me, he is fancying his chances because they all think Starmer's doing such a bad job. It all means they think they can do the job. And that there is the problem. And it stems really from, and I know there is huge upset with Rachel Reeves' budget. I speak to Labour, I speak to everybody in here, and I know they're all upset. And I'll tell you for why it makes sense. They all know she's going to do a terrible budget. They all know she's going to have to increase tax. But they all are saying, but what are we going to get from that? Because now she's going to increase her headroom to about, they think, 20 billion. She's going to raise about 30 billion, but they're all saying, but none of that money is going to come to our causes. It's all going to go sort of, because she's taken hostage by the Treasury and the sort of financial markets. What are we getting? So it doesn't matter which group, which side in the Labour Party you're in, whether you're Starmerites, Blairites, Corbynista, they're all saying we are not getting the money for our cause. Hence now she's touting, oh, I might help WASPy women. Oh, here you go, £3 billion for getting rid of the two-child cap. They are in meltdown, but that story, the front of the Times, A, I know it's true, but B, I wouldn't understand why Starmer would release that. He's not, as it were, spiking the guns of a leadership bid. He's actually now got the hairs running.
Here's a question for you before I let you go. If it happens, and I've had text this morning going, I loathe Keir Starmer, I think he's the most incompetent Prime Minister, but when you look at that front bench, is it fair to say we're better limping along with him until the markets force him out, whatever? Who do you think, I know what I think, if he had to go, if there was a coup, who do you think will be the next leader of the Labour Party / Prime Minister of this country?
OK, well, it'll have to be somebody from the left because it goes to the trade unions and it goes to the membership. So anybody who's on the right of the party, if they think Keir Starmer's right wing, they're not going to win. So first of all, Keir Starmer could win. Do you remember Jeremy Corbyn? They forced the vote. He lost it in the House, but actually he won it with the members. Now, the reason I think Keir Starmer won't is because the membership's more left-wing than him. So he could well lose that vote that Jeremy Corbyn won. And that's why I think it will end up either with an Angela Rayner, who will be the voice of the trade unions, which will be a disaster. She will be their useful idiot, as it were, for the force that is behind her. Or it could be Ed Miliband, because you've got a lot, again, from the left. You've got the net zero zealots, and they will both, in different ways, destroy the country. Maybe that's why Starmer released the story to say to people, I'm the best of what is here. Don't get rid of me because the others are going to be a disaster.
God, I thought broadcasting was a viper's nest. This MP lark. My God, mate, you've been in both viper's nests. So good to have you on. Thank you so much. The amazing Esther McVey, former Minister for Common Sense, giving us the lowdown there from the Commons.